Good morning to another lesson. So we've got another 3 weeks of this. So hopefully you're finding this quite helpful and useful. Just kind of sort of, fills in the blanks really. There's only so much you can do reading the book. So we're going to work on answering our next exam question. So there's going to be a lot of reading. I want you to do a lot of reading today. Okay, let's flick on. So first of all, if you can just do the 5-a-day thing, just to make sure you've read back and you know what some of the key things we've covered. As we've done before. I could probably go through the answers when our next lesson is. You just print that off. So we're going to, as I said before, the questions are always the same. Basically, why was the slave trade abolished? And the only thing that will change will be the bit in bold there. So in this particular question, they've gone for the first group, which were the nonconformist Christians, and they will also give you two sources as well, or two, they call them extracts. But obviously the only thing they could say, because of the economic factors, it could be world events, blah blah blah. But we know that's just a question of us just kind of rearranging things around. So this is, in exam speak, this is called an iceberg question. So they give you one thing at the top, and some students will only talk about the one thing. But obviously what I want you to do to get the A grade is to talk about the other things under the water, the things they're not mentioning. So what I want you to do is have a look through the source, and I want you to kind of evaluate the sources. Now, there's a number of historians in the book, so before we even get going on this, if you could have a read through page 134 to 137, there's three main historians that are pretty much generally always in the exam. This guy called James Walvin, who is a sort of modern day historian, and his kind of viewpoint on this was it was kind of a mix of everything. Sort of very broad perspective, but have a look through that. Then you got this other guy called Adam Hochschild, again another historian, and his view is primarily that it was Thomas Clarkson and the role of the individuals, but mainly it was Clarkson. Let's have a look through him. And then you've got a slightly more old-fashioned historical point of view, this guy called Patrick Richardson, and he believes it's kind of agrees with Williams. It's all about economic reasons and things like that. So have a read through those pages, just sort of pick out some key things, because you'll find that on the exam that the extracts will come from, the majority will come from those three people. So one of the first things you need to do is get a highlight pen. I've done this first one for you, so just let me explain a few of these things. So this is from Walvin's book, Short History of Slavery, and what you'll generally find in the exam is the first extracts will agree with the question. So remember, the question is, did they abolish it because of the nonconformist Christians? And basically this is saying yes. So remind you, people probably thinking, what the hell is a nonconformist? The nonconformists are people, or religious people, who are not Church of England, so Methodists, Quakers. They don't conform to the state religion as such. So I've just highlighted that word, nonconformist Christians. And so many Anglicans, Church of England people, disliked them because what they were doing is they were going over to the Caribbean, the slave plantations, and they were baptizing black people, because obviously they believed that everybody was made from God and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't just they were doing that. They're also very, very popular, particularly in northern industrial areas. And the reason, what Walvin says, was nonconformist Christianity created a growing band of British supporters of black freedom. And people in these industrial areas, as I've highlighted, felt a bond of sympathy for their enslaved co-religionists. That's a strange word. And importantly, it created a new national network of support, who increasingly lent their numbers to and gave voice to demands for an end to slavery. So what you need to do in the exam is kind of extract some key bits from the extracts. It's a funny thing to say. And pick out 4 or 5 main points from each extract that you can talk about a little bit more and develop on a little bit more, which we'll talk about in our next lesson. So you can do the same, what I've just done for the first one on extract 2. And obviously this is what will happen is they'll give you a totally different perspective, and clearly this is about the work of individuals and Equiano and all those kind of things there. And then the last thing I want you to do is to get like a massive piece of A3 paper. I want you to kind of like just do a big mind map, remind yourself about all the key things. I put all the page numbers there in the middle for you. Okay, so it's quite a lot of reading, work at your own pace, those types of things. Feedback, I wouldn't mind someone just email back saying this is too much or too little, or this is fine, just to say I don't know, I have no idea what your workload's like, but that'd be quite helpful. Okay, cheers, thanks.